All right, we now welcome on to the program Kynan Forney. Kynan, you're a former NFL offensive lineman for the Atlanta Falcons. You're an All Falcons. You're part of the All-Decade Falcons team. You played with Michael Vick. You've done a lot of stuff. But right now, we do want to talk about your career. We do want to talk, but we want to talk about you with your DASH OLine Performance facility. You've been training Andrew Thomas, who is the Giants' first-round pick. But Kynan, how you doing, my man?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. So let's start it off. What is the DASH OLine Performance Facility, and how did it start? What's your involvement, and kind of give us the story on that.
Well, DASH is just it's a facility. The acronym is Developing Athletes. Starts here, and it's run by William and Alicia Lee, and they train high school, college, NFL, even kids in elementary school. And I'm their O-line performance guy, so I take kids and if they're trying to be a starter in high school, or if they're trying to get them a Division I scholarship or Division II, whatever it is. Or even NFL guys just trying to learn a few tricks of the trade so they can, stick around and make a name for themselves, make some money. That's what I'm there for. So it's just really a performance training center, and the O-line specialty part is that's what I do.
I like it. I know we have some offensive linemen, in high school that listen to us. I don't know how many are in the Georgia area, but if you're listening, go check out Kynan. So yeah, Andrew Thomas, though, you've been or actually, let's start with your career. You got to play offensive line for Mike Vick, Warrick Dunn, a really throwback, awesome offense with those guys. You had Algie Crumpler at tight end, Peerless Price. I mean, you guys had weapons. Now, before you came, though, they gave up 65 sacks, and then you came in. Was it you that steadied the team, or was it Mike, or what was
In my opinion, it's you. No one can take that away from you, Kynan. It was all you.
Oh man, hey, you too nice to me, man. Hey, I like to think it was all me, but I gotta give some love to my brothers too. It was all the guys up front. Todd McClure, Todd Weiner, Kevin Schaefer, Roberto Garza. Different other guys that get interchanged throughout. Algie Crumpley, who you just mentioned, Eric Beverly, who was a tight end of ours.
Algie was as big as the tackle.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. The only reason why he played tight end because he had hands and ran a faster 40. But we had Mike too. So Mike can also get you out of trouble if you got into some. Let's be honest. Y'all seen those NFL clips of him spinning and jumping and ducking all over the field. You know what I'm saying? But it was a fun, exciting time, man. We had a great time. I'm just glad that I was fortunate and blessed enough to be, part of that draft class, coming in with Mike and Algie and, helping to turn things around a little bit and, give Atlanta fans some excitement around here.
Yeah, it's crazy, to you look at Lamar Jackson now, and in my opinion, it's Mike Vick was a better athlete than Lamar, the things he did. Now, I want to ask you this from, I'm an offensive tackle, played high school, college. Was there times where it was frustrating, where you guys did a good job and Mike Vick ran into somebody or got out of the pocket? I know that's kind of like a talking point with mobile QBs. Was it ever frustrating having him scramble around when you guys thought you guys did a good job?
Yeah, no, not at all, man. Because like I just said a while ago, there'll be, you played offensive line. There's some time where you can sometimes whiff on somebody and Michael, give him that shoulder, dip on him a little bit and, get you out of trouble. So no, I loved it. That's a crazy question. I always get that a lot from people. Were you ever concerned about where he be? No, I didn't care. Hey, because I knew he wasn't gonna be there long.
I will say, I didn't give up a single sack in high school. I'm proud to say that. But there was one time, like you said, man, where my QB was wrapped up and he had this Tim Tebow mindset, ended up scrambling out. So I may have given up what they would call a pressure and a hit, but no sack. So I hear you on that.
Oh, yeah, I love them scramblers. Love them mobile guys like that, man.
And especially with your own personal story being a 7th-round pick, and now you're a part of the Falcons All-Decade team, and you had a pretty long and successful career. I absolutely love your story, but I want to go to Alex Gibbs. Alex Gibbs was one of your offensive line coaches while you were a player, and some regard him as the godfather of a zone blocking scheme. So tell us some things that you were able to pull from Coach Gibbs while you were a player, maybe some things that he did, and now that you're kind of a coach, you're a trainer yourself in some kind of manner, maybe some philosophies that you're able to pull from him.
Well, first off, let's just say shout out to Alex Gibbs. Man, he was a great offensive line coach, and I love and appreciate when he came in, and the mentality he brought to that group. Just his experience. Alex has been all over the United States coaching, whether it was at Kansas City or the Raiders or even Denver before he got to us, or even Ohio State in the college ranks. Alex been all over the place, and a lot of the drills he used to do with us were, things that he picked up from players, and he would tell us, hey, I picked these up from different guys. If it's good, I steal it. So I was able to steal a lot of stuff from him, and so that's a lot of that stuff. I use it with the kids that I'm coaching now. Of course, I mix my own little flavor in there, with my own experience. I cook up a little different gumbo for them, but I use a lot of the stuff that Alex taught me, because Alex had a wealth of knowledge. Man, he was, I wish we could have had him longer, because I know I would have greatly benefited by him being around us a lot longer than what he was.
No, that's absolutely awesome, and that kind of transitions me to my next question, because now you're in this position of you're a coach, you're a trainer, and one of the things that we try to look for on this podcast is not just how you are as a football player, but how you are as a man and how you are as a hard worker, because that's one of the things that when we're trying to evaluate players, that's arguably just as, you being a hard worker and you being a good quality of man, it's arguably just as important as you actually probably being a good football player. So you've had the ability to work with Andrew Thomas for a little bit. What is the thing that makes him tick? What's maybe something that you can say to him if you challenge him to a certain thing? What makes Andrew Thomas tick?
Well, the good thing about him is that he's self-motivated. There's nothing really you can say to him that he doesn't, that he doesn't, he's always trying to be the best. He's self-motivated to the point of you don't have to say much to him. All you have to do is, hey, look here, I think you should try this, or you should try that. Like, as soon as I tell him something or show him something, he'll try it, and boom, the next rep, there it is. As opposed to most guys, you'll try to show them something or teach them something, and they might have a little hard time getting it, or some guys can kind of be stuck in their own ways. Andrew, he'll try it. He's a very smart football player. Let's say that. He's a very, very smart football player. He's able to take directions right then on the field, make the correction. And, if you show it to him on tape, which is what I do a lot of times, I'll film it, or I'll have my wife film it, or someone to film it, and I'll show it to him, and we'll put it in slow motion on the tape. And before I can even say anything, sometimes he's already, oh yeah, I need to get my shoulders back more, or yeah, I need to get my hands up higher because I got them out too low. He's a delight, because he just gets it, and he's on top of his stuff, and he's not motivated by money. He's motivated by trying to be the best that he can be. The first time I met him, I'm sorry, let me share this story. The first time I met him, well, not the first time. This was after a couple times of working with him. I asked all the kids, like, hey, what are your goals? Whether they're in high school, college, or NFL, whatever it is, I ask them, hey, what is it that you're trying to get out of this? And the first thing he tells me is he wants a Super Bowl championship. Then the second thing he tells me is that he wants a gold jacket. And the third thing he tells me is that he wants to play a long career, 14, 15, some odd years. So that right there kind of, I didn't show it in my face, but as I'm standing there listening to him, I'm on the inside kind of going, okay, I like that, because it ain't about the money for him. You're going to make some nice money, you go to the NFL, but there's a lot of kids, as soon as they get that money, they shut it down. They don't work as hard. How many guys have you seen get drafted for the Giants who you might have heard of, and you're like, man, this guy is going to be the next best thing for us, and for some reason, it just don't happen for them, A lot of times it might be because of, they might just be overly matched. But a lot of times, I'm going to say 90% of it is that they get caught up out there in the streets, and they get caught up on their own hype. You know what I'm saying? We're stop working as hard.
We're dealing with that with DeAndre Baker right now. He got himself in a little trouble. We love him. We've been, proven innocent until proven guilty, but you could tell he kind of got himself caught up in some stuff. So, and what you're saying is something we love. It's hard for us to see because we're not around him like you are, but spending a year with Daniel Jones, it's like, okay, this, like, if he fails, it's not because he's not a hard worker, because that's the one thing you show from that guy is he is always going to put in the work. And like you said with AT, that he's always like the things he messes up on, he wants to fix it like immediately. Now, this draft was a big debate with Giants and Giants land. Isaiah Simmons, offensive tackle, and then there was a lot of debate between the offensive tackles, whether it was Wills, Wirfs, Becton. I was big on Thomas, and sometimes I felt like I was crazy because people were telling me I was crazy, but Thomas, I mean, he dominated the best competition and different types of players, whether it was Marlon Davidson at Auburn, who is a little more power, or Chase on at LSU, where it was all speed, and he had his way with him besides one play the entire game. But obviously, he's not a perfect prospect. So what is like one thing that you guys have been like, all right, this is something you need to focus on and you've been working at?
Just a couple little small details, because Andrew's been the best offensive tackle for the past couple years as far as college goes. You just said,
the first game I watched of him. The first game I watched of him was the SEC championship against Alabama, and this is before 2019 draft or 2020 draft stuff. Just bored last summer, and then the immediate was like, this guy's the best player on the field, and that's a game filled with a lot of pro players.
He's been practicing against the best every day. At practice at Georgia on Saturdays when he goes out to play. He was the best tackle going into the draft. It's just sometimes, in the draft process, you get a lot of different flavor of the months coming up, and that's not to say those other guys aren't good. I'm not taking nothing away from those guys, but you see it all the time. You get guys that'll, they come in at certain sizes and, they run fast, or guys come in and they blow out all the different athletic testing, measurable type of drills that they can do at the combine. And to me, it always goes back to, man, the tape. All that other stuff is nice, you know what I mean? But look at the tape. The tape, the eye in the sky don't lie, if y'all have ever heard that term. You know what I mean? Like, you can't make you can say this or say that about somebody, but my old coach in college used to tell me, when you throw that tape on, that's your John Hancock. You know what I mean? Y'all know who John Hancock is. Got
the signature.
The signature on the declaration, right? The biggest one, right? Everybody say, sign your John Hancock. Well, when you put the tape on, that's your John Hancock. Can't nobody say nothing, oh, well, he wasn't feeling good this day, so he didn't play that well, or, on this play, this and that happened. You know what I mean? Like, they throwing the tape on from beginning to end, and what you see is what you get, and with Andrew, that's what it is.
And what's crazy, it was against the best competition. And you mentioned measurables, like Mekhi Becton had the fastest 40, and I like Becton. But what was interesting, and I would like to hear your point, I was always told the 40 is not important for offensive linemen. Look at the 20-yard shuttle if we're looking at speed, because it's quick, it's short movement agility, and he blew out everybody, especially, at least at the top of the class. He was the best by far. So people were saying he's like the worst athlete of the four. It's like, well, no, he has the best shuttle, which is the most relevant to offensive linemen, way much more than a 40. If you're running the 40, you've done your job on that play. It's, something.
Let's not. I don't want to. Let's not take nothing away from big fella. He ran a fast time for as big as he is. Hey, I applaud him. But a lot of those. Offensive linemen, we're not gonna run no 40-yard nothing.
and like I said, if we are, it's because we did our job at the start of the play. So we're just running down to celebrate.
Right, exactly. Like you just said, most of those scouts, they care more about your first 5, your first 10, the 10-yard split. You know what I'm saying? And all the other different little quick bursts, drills, the broad jump maybe, and the 5, 10, 5, and the L drill and things like that. But 40-yard dash, hey, it's nice if you can get out there and run it great, but who really cares?
Yeah. Right. And Bobby, I'm gonna cut you off really quick, but you were talking a little bit before just about, and I kind of maybe want you to go here for just a quick second. When I look at Andrew Thomas, and this is just a fan, we're not scouts. I'm a fan who watches the game. I'm a young fan who watches the game. And obviously, you can point to a lot of these other top tackles and, they have this thing that pops. They have this thing that pops. There's a lot that pops from Andrew Thomas collectively, but most importantly, he does his job. And he does his job, the eye in the sky, John Hancock. He does his job better than all these other offensive linemen, arguably all other offensive linemen in this draft class. And that's something that, really appeals to Bobby and I, and I'm sure that's something that you've seen. The dude just does his job, and he does his job the best out of all these other tackles, out of all these other linemen. And that's the barometer. That's where you want to be.
Oh, yeah. Offensive line, you working in obscurity. You You go out there, you do your job. You know, you won't get a whole lot of publicity or press or fanfare from it. You know, you do your job. You kick the guy in front of you. You know, so I was about to cuss. I ain't gonna cuss on y'all show.
You go for it, Kynan.
Oh man, you know, you pretty much, man, you just punch the guy in front of you. You punch him in the mouth all day and let the guys behind you get all the credit, and you know, take your behind home and get ready to go do it again the next day. It's a fist fight. It's a fist fight every day.
I like it. So with Thomas, you know, the left tackle of the Giants struggled, and you know, the GM has said that when Nate Solder. Thomas was a left tackle. What have you guys been working more at with his reps? You know, obviously you're not, you know, going against, you know, a true defense in these reps in this practice, but have you been practicing more in a right-handed stance or left-handed stance or what?
We do both, because you never know. You never know what can happen in the football season. So I just try to make him, anything we do it from a left-hand stance, we do it from a right-hand stance.
Okay. Has he heard anything from the Giants of like, hey, like, you know, they talk about cross training, but has he heard anything from the Giants of like, hey, like, you know, practice both, but be ready to be left or be ready to be the right tackle? Because we all know they have a good idea going into camp of what they want.
I'm pretty sure they have a good idea where they want to put him at. But me, you know, being an offensive lineman, playing in the league, you know, I know you're more valuable to that group if you know how to play both sides. So that's just me personally. I have him doing both, you know, right. And if I can say this, he looks good at both. You know what I mean? Like both sides, it's really hard to tell which one he's not very good at. But I mean, he's a really good athlete and he can do both well.
Now, I've been leading the train of playing him at left tackle from day one. Like you said, he might have a good idea. Do you know what that good idea is? Is it left or right?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you which one that is.
I was trying to get it out of you.
I know you were.
Here's actually, and I'll have you answer this from a personal standpoint, not necessarily maybe of what AT wants, but from a personal standpoint, you know, I think it's obviously very well known that left tackle is considered the second most important position in the game of football. It's most quarterbacks' blind sides. And you know, right behind quarterback, second most valuable position. So do you know, if it were you, and if it were you in AT shoes, would you think that it's almost like a goal to have, like, yes, I want to be the day one starting left tackle because I am the best player to protect the blind side of my quarterback? Do you think there's not, I don't want to call it an ego thing, but do you think that's like a goal to have and something to strive for, or is it just I'm going to play wherever I'm told?
Man, I think the goal should be you play anywhere on that line as long as you out there on that field. That should be the goal. That's the mentality I went into my rookie training camp with. I didn't care if it was left guard, left tackle. I knew that wasn't going to happen, but I'm just saying, you know, right guard, wherever that may be, I'm trying to be the starter week one, opening day, when they flying the stealth bomber over, you know what I mean? And they got the flag out and, you know, and it's just lit in the stadium. That's what I was trying to do. And that should be every offensive lineman or any player that's trying to play in the National Football League. I mean, why are you trying to sit on the bench? Or why are you trying to be inactive? You know what I mean? Unless they tell you have to be inactive, man, shoot for the stars. Try to be the starter. You know, that's what my dad told me on my first training camp up here. He was like asking me, so how do you feel about your prospects of making the team? And I said, well, you know, hopefully, you know, I can make the practice squad, you know what I mean? And, you know, he kind of looked at me, and we was driving in my 94 Explorer, driving down 20, you know,
Interstate 20. I think I had
20.
One of those.
Yeah, you know, I had a purple one.
Mine was green.
Oh, man, there you go, see? Hey. And
97, though.
96 years was a little bit newer. I had you know, we were driving down Interstate 20 East, and he just told me, man, well, if you feel as though that's all you can get, then we might as well turn around and go back to East Texas. Mm-hmm. And he said, man, if you're not trying to go up there and be the starter, then what are you going for? And so that, as I sat there, it kind of made me have to, you know, like sit up and like, man, you know what? I was really playing myself thinking that that's all I'm good as. And I was only thinking that because I got picked in the 7th round, not knowing all the behind the scenes stuff going on with that 7th round and why I fell to the 7, you know what I mean? But I was glad my dad, you know, said that to me and kind of put me in check, you know, and just made me like, man, yo, go up there and be the starter. Don't take no shit from nobody. Oops, excuse me.
You're good. You're good,
Don't
Kynan.
take nothing from nobody. Go out there and take you a job. That's what it's about. You got your foot in the door. What you gonna do?
Right, right.
Love that.
We'll finish it off with this, and I want to ask you, besides Michael Vick, and maybe it's not Michael Vick, best football player you ever played with in your career?
Played with or against?
How about both, with and against?
Played with, that I played with. Oh man, there's a few of them, bro. Like, I mean, you just mentioned Michael Vick, of course, Algie Crumpler, when I went to San Diego, LaDainian Tomlinson, also in Atlanta. Who else did we have, man?
You were in San Diego with Tomlinson. Were you there with Roman Oben when he was there?
No. That was a little bit before me.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually played with the line that had Chris Dillman at left guard and Marcus McNeil and Nick Hardwick at center. Yeah, we had a pretty good line out there.
Okay. So who's? I'll ask you this, since you play on the offensive line. Who was the best defensive lineman that you ever faced?
It's a bunch of them. The best ones probably like Brian Young for the 49ers.
Okay.
He was number 97, came out of Notre Dame. He was very good. That's who I happened to have to play against my first game. Gave up 2 sacks. But, hey, I learned from it, and it didn't crush me. I went into the offseason, and, it made me stronger, and I came back a stronger and better player, mentally and physically from that. I heard Michael Strahan once say, hey, take your ass whooping like a man. So, hey, that's what I did. So, shout out to Brian Young. We love Michael Strahan
quotes on the show.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's one of y'all's greats, man. Oh, yeah. Playing against Michael Strahan. We played you guys up there a few times or they came down here. Who else?
Yeah, just say Strahan and you'll get on our listeners' good side.
Okay. Hey, Strahan was that guy, man. Hey, and what's funny is that everybody sees him on Good Morning America. He's a nice guy. You know what I mean? But
he was intense.
Yeah. On the field, man, he'll talk cash money-ish to you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, we've heard the stories from whether it was John Runyon or whoever. He was a big time trash talker.
Oh man, he out there talking mess, cursing you out. But then after the game, he's cool, because I know after the game I talked to him and asked him a couple little pointers or whatever. Hey man, how can I? And he was real cool and told me, he had looked. Matter of fact, I'll tell you the story. Check this out. So in the game, he bull rushes me, which I didn't expect. And so when it was over with, I asked him after the game, I said, hey, man, I ain't never seen you bull rush nobody in the past 3-4 games or whatever. What made you bull rush me, the guard? And he's told me that, well, I saw that somebody had did this to you last year. And so that was like, dang, you looking at tape from last year? I said, okay, you know what? That's why you're good. That's why you're great. You know what I'm saying? And so getting that bit of insight from him, that made me step my game up more. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, can't just I was looking at 4 games. He's looking at 12 months before.
Right.
Yeah.
Kynan, well, I appreciate you coming on. Make sure to go follow him at K4065. We'll make sure to share all your stuff. We'll share the Performance Center in our bio and stuff. Kynan, man, it's been a blast. I didn't get the left tackle quote out of you that I wanted, but it's been fun, my brother.
Hey, man, Andrew's going to do some good things, man. He's a good kid. You guys will love him, man. He's real humble, real quiet, hardworking. New York City, y'all got y'all a good one, man. I'm happy for him.
Appreciate it,
I got an Instagram. I just got on Instagram last night. My kids got me set up, man. So I'm on Instagram. F65
I'm gonna be one of your first followers.
Jump on there. F65 Performance.
F65 Performance.
Yes, sir. And it's got my name, Kynan Forney, on there. And of course, you just said Twitter, K4065.
All right, I'm your 25th follower, man. So we'll have to get that number up. We'll share you on our Instagram stories and all that stuff, man.
Oh, nice. I see. I just saw you popped up, man. Appreciate it.
All right, be good, Kynan.
Oh yeah, y'all too, man. Thanks.
Yeah.